Look at the sheer volume of food here. Piles of fresh produce and grain packed into every available square foot of this market. It's hard to imagine that a person walking through this exact space, surrounded by all this abundance, could still be starving. On paper, the world is making progress. This chart shows global undernourishment falling from its pandemic peak, dipping to 8.2% by 2024. But there's a catch. The cost of a healthy diet is climbing fast, hitting $4.46 a day. For billions of people, that price is an insurmountable wall. Right now, 2.6 billion individuals are completely priced out of buying a nutritious meal. Humanity now produces an abundance of calories. The bins are full. Our current struggle is a crisis of pure affordability. The inflation keeping those prices high is the fallout from a macroeconomic pileup. A pandemic that severed supply chains, a war in Ukraine that disrupted global grain and fertilizer markets, and extreme weather events that wrecked regional harvests. While the cost of groceries spiked across the board, employee wages largely stalled out. The purchasing power of the working class evaporated at the checkout counter. This financial squeeze hit specific groups much harder. Globally, women experience consistently higher rates of food insecurity than men as they stretch shrinking budgets to keep their households running. When healthy ingredients get too expensive, families trade down. They swap nutrient-dense foods for cheap, empty calories. This economic coping mechanism is a direct driver of child stunting and wasting, keeping those rates stubbornly high globally. Inflation forces parents into a brutal daily calculation. They sacrifice their children's long-term physical and cognitive development just to put something on the plate today. This economic pressure doesn't blanket the globe evenly. Depending on local resilience, countries are fracturing onto two different paths. If we look at this UN data table, we see the chronic undernourishment rate for Africa climbing over the last decade, even as the global average dropped. The situation is particularly severe in Middle Africa, where undernourishment has crossed 30%. Behind those percentages are rural farmers. When extreme weather hits or fertilizer prices jump, individuals working without irrigation systems, crop insurance, or modern infrastructure absorb the entire shock themselves. Compare that to Latin America and the Caribbean, a region that has managed to maintain steady progress and recovery since 2021. Global inflation acts as a stress test. It reveals that local policies and infrastructure ultimately determine whether a region recovers from an economic shock or whether its people starve. Top-down economic shocks do incredible damage, but everyday people are engineering their own solutions to bypass broken supply chains. The UN report highlights the Innovatech project, proving digital tools connect vulnerable producers straight to affordable markets. In Mexico, Nelis rescues food for the urban poor. In Bolivia, Ola Tractor gives small farms mechanized tools, lowering labor costs and improving yields. Governments cannot end hunger by simply increasing national grain yields. True food security relies on building social protections and financial tools that actively shield the working class from global price shocks. Ending this crisis requires targeted interventions that put cash, credit, and purchasing power directly into the hands of the most vulnerable citizens. When we strip away the macroeconomic charts and the supply chain data, we are left with this human reality. Reaching the 2030 goal for zero hunger requires a direct response to the widening gap between local wages and global food costs. The full markets prove the food exists. Our success now depends on ensuring every family has the economic power to bring it home.